Melissa Rose, and you're listening to Good Times, Great Movies. And meet me at the waterfront after the social.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Good Times, Great Movies. You are here, and so are we. There's two of us, and it's I, Jamie Lorello. On the other end of things is DP McCambridge. Here we go, taking you for a ride in the 80s, in 1980.
80.
Oh, 80.
82,
exactly.
I'm sorry.
Is it
sorry,
82?
it was
Yeah.
filmed in 80. It sat on the shelf for a couple of years just trying to figure out what to do with this thing.
Polishing itself up. Well, here we are discussing a 1982 movie because we discuss movies from the 80s, which you probably know because you've been listening. And if you're a new listener, welcome.
Hey, welcome. Now you know what we do.
Yeah.
If you've just been going into whatever, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and you're like, I wonder if anyone's talked about The Forest, and you've been doing this for years, and finally, you found a podcast that has talked about the movie The Forest.
Why would we do such a thing? For Arbor Day? Is that why we're doing it?
Yeah, Arbor Day. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For Arbor Day.
Anytime I talk about Arbor Day, I think of, and it's such a throwaway line from The Naked Gun, where I think he asked Priscilla Presley out on a date, and she goes, well, I don't think so. I have to be up early tomorrow, being Arbor Day. And it's nonsense. But I love how he just nods and understands. Yeah, Arbor Day. That's pretty
That's
important.
what you get up early and you hug a tree. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Well, we're like hugging literally The Forest, a movie. Without this podcast, I would have never known existed.
That's a lot of movies we covered.
Yeah, that is actually a lot of movies that we cover, which makes me so happy. Sometimes it's gold, and sometimes it's The Forest.
Sometimes it's right. Sometimes it's lace, and sometimes it's The Forest.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think we can both agree that there is some joy to be found in both. Now, different degrees or percentages of joy, let's say.
Okay, if you're gonna put the joy meter on, yeah.
Yeah, but there is a joy meter with everything we cover, I think.
I think so.
The joy meter. Sometimes the needle barely lifts above zero.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like, for you, Xanadu. Right? Oh no, you liked Xanadu, didn't you?
I did not like Xanadu,
You did
but
not,
I've come
yeah.
around on Xanadu.
Like on skates, you're just coming around.
Uh-huh. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I told you. Your husband was right. I was wrong. Xanadu is great. I was wrong when I watched it the first time.
It just took you a minute. It's okay.
It took me until Can't Stop the Music to make me realize I love everything singing and dancing and...
Bring it on.
80s. You take 80s and you combine them with singing, dancing, and roller skates, I think I'm totally into it.
I think you are too.
So I'm going to throw down the challenge. Listeners, can you please recommend movies haven't covered that have those three ingredients?
That's got to be some that we like that we have not discovered that people know. That's maybe a mini series that goes on for 4 hours.
I don't care what it is. I'll watch people skate for 4 hours. This had no singing, no dancing, and no roller skates. Roller skates may be the closest thing to making an appearance in this movie, and it didn't do it. If we ever went inside a house, we might see roller skates in this movie.
We were for a little bit at dinner.
They were outside, Jamie. They were outside because there were garbage.
Oh, that's right, because
cans.
he threw it in the garbage can. That's right.
The fact that they were outside underneath what was just a lamp. Like, I guess a lamp that had a long extension cord going to the side of the house.
Let's just say the budget was very limited for this movie.
They couldn't even afford to shoot indoors. It all had to be outside. I thought that would be more expensive. Turns out, I guess it's cheaper.
No, because it's free land. You just go on it. You don't have to rent anybody's house or do anything like that.
You're right. Yeah, you wait for a family to go on vacation. You film outside their house, and then you wander into random woods and without a permit and just start filming and see what happens.
Beautiful area, beautiful little landscape they happenstanced upon.
The sequoia National Park is where this was filmed. Oh, you're nodding as though you know this. Did
Well,
you know this?
yes, because I've been to the Sequoia, so some of the geography looked familiar. However,
I would like
if
to think that you looked at a rock and you were like, I know that.
Yeah, I've
I've
been
seen
to that
place
rock.
before."
That's
you see
true.
that guy's eating
I know
human
it.
flesh? I sat there.
I sat inside that cave, that monstrous cave. No, but I have to tell you, the Sequoias are more than a 4-hour drive from Los Angeles.
Okay.
So that was a little fibbing on their part. But I guess they had to hurry the trip along. You can't spend a half a day's journey just getting there.
The way you make that sound is, it's more than just a 4-hour drive. It's also an educational experience. I was trying to put that to be the tag at the end of that.
No, it's more than just a 4-hour drive, period. It is a longer drive.
As a former LA resident, did you love the fact that the beginning of this movie just was guys yelling like, I hate traffic, I hate LA so much?
That's why they needed to get away from it all. That's why they needed to take their Sequoia trip.
Anytime they were in the car, though, you didn't see cars around them. But you pull back to stock footage of traffic jams in LA.
Just the traffic.
Everyone was everywhere. Mm-hmm. But it is the forest. Oh, before we talk about the forest, I do want to just very quickly plug, go to our website, goodtimesgreatmovies.com. There's links to our merch, our Facebook, our Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon. And I don't know if this is a selling point for our Patreon, but you listeners might know that for the past 2 episodes, we covered Lace. Now, if you're a regular listener, what you heard is us talk about Lace for about 2 hours and 40 minutes. That's a long time.
It's a big
Patrons,
discussion.
You heard us talk about Lace for 3 hours and 50 minutes.
Wow. You are some lucky patrons. Because there's a whole lot of Lace. Or a whole lot of us doing terrible accents. Imitating
An
the accents.
hour
in the
and
Lace.
10 minutes more patrons got from that Lace episode. And people might think, oh, I've heard you talk about it. And basically it's just pee breaks or Jamie singing.
Which is a great thing.
Right, or you flubbing lines or something like that. No, we talk for a good 15 to 20 minutes before we actually start the episode. And sometimes in regards to Lace, we talk for, I don't know, a half hour each episode.
Well, you got to work your way into Lace. You don't just jump into it and start diving into those characters. You got to like Lace itself. You hold it delicately.
Right.
You don't just shimmy, shake it.
Yes, you have to put on your feather nightgown and really just...
You have to light your cigarette,
you
several
have
of them.
Several cigarettes before you start recording for the regular listeners. There's
Did we just
a lot
talk about
that goes
Lace
into these
again?
episodes.
Are we just going to talk about Lace again? I feel like
I got it. No, we have to stop. We're 20 minutes into this right now. And again, if you're not a patron, we're like 10 minutes in. But we should get onto... We have to put Lace behind us. But...
All right.
Lace is going to be something that I think sticks with us for quite a while, especially when you get your copy of the book.
Oh.
Wait, you have it?
I'm taking a picture tonight. It came this evening, right before we podcasted.
That's a thick book. And it also...
And it's a library. It belonged to the library.
That's like a Gone with the Wind size book.
It is 750 pages.
But the cover looks like it's from... what's that? I almost said Grey's Anatomy sex book, but what's
I know. Yeah, it's the Grey's Anatomy sex book. No, it says Before 50 Shades. There was Lace. So this must be
pretty steamy.
Very saucy. Yeah, I guess.
I just love how we talked about what great stuff patrons get, and now I just totally cut this out for the regular people. And they're like, oh, I wonder what she talked about. It wasn't just names of characters from Lace for a while, right? All right, well, let's get into this movie, The Forest, from 1982. As we said, directed by Don Jones, starring a bunch of people who on their IMDb have The Forest and nothing else.
Oh, really? All of them? I kind of expected that.
Yeah, it's everyone in this movie. I do have to say, it's not shot poorly. It's really not. I mean, I know that we watched this on YouTube, and so the quality was probably pretty bad. But like the wide shot of this gigantic meadow that we start with when both,
Oh, where this one first couple is
Yes.
walking through? Yeah.
it looks really nice. Like it looks like a place where I would love to go backpacking.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's beautiful.
It's very. This movie also has like 70s music all over this
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
This
yeah.
really is. I mean, we did beat the
It's such a long
world
how to
of-
beat the high cost of living.
Yes, How to Beat the High Cost of Living. And we said that was the most 70s, 80s movie. This, I was shocked when it said 82 because I was like, this was clearly filmed in 78.
Yeah, but you said 80 was when
Yeah.
it was filmed, and then it was shelved.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they had what was that one song they sang?
Oh, the songs are amazing in this movie. They're so
You say
great.
amazing. You say
Oh,
amazing.
they're fantastic. There's just a song that I think is called The Forest. And
Is that when he's walking through and it's like you see dark things
Yep. Yeah.
on the dark
Yes,
side?
it
You
is
can't
so
get away.
great.
I can't sing the tune at all, obviously, but
Don't
yeah,
worry.
the
when we
lyrics
get
come on
there,
as they're
I
like
have
walking
lyrics
at
written
night.
down because
Oh,
it's,
perfect.
It's amazing. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So it's a man and a woman, and they're going backpacking. This woman is so nervous, and she keeps looking around.
The shots every now and then. So like you said, it's this beautiful, you can hear the birds chirping, and they're for a lot of this movie, it's just the people walking through the forest. It's just that.
Yeah.
It's not them even being scared and walking.
No.
Although we do get this woman every now and then. Just like every, I don't know, 2 to 3 minutes, she looks nervously at
She
the
is
camera,
so scared.
bug-eyed and like, what is that? And then, but they just keep walking along, and she doesn't
Yeah.
say anything about it at first. She just keeps stopping and staring, and you see some sort of shadowy figure, kind of
Right.
crossing their path.
But it's so
Um,
great because she's with this guy, and she is so nervous, on edge. But apparently, she never says anything to this guy. He's just hiking
No.
along like it's a Sunday afternoon, and he's having the time of his life. And she looks so freaked out. Like you said, every few minutes she just turns and looks afraid.
She does stop him at a certain point, though, and she says she thinks maybe it's bears. She's a little uncertain, and he's very much like, it's fine, it's fine. I don't know how this makes her feel safer, but she decides to lead then. She says, well, I'll go.
I'll
Let
go
me
in
go first.
front. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it and everything. And this guy's like, fine, that's okay.
And then she hustles in front, like doesn't even really check on him.
Oh, no, she's like on a sprint to get to wherever they're going. And this guy, the very beginning of this movie, this happens several times in this movie. I have no idea where anyone is in relation to anyone else.
To each other?
When this
Yeah,
guy's
yeah.
looking around, and we see some killer moving around. She's appears to be miles away. Like I had no
Yeah.
idea where anyone else was.
Well, I didn't understand her thought process. If she was scared something was she thought out there, wouldn't she just let's stick together, let's stay tight and close? She says, "Let me lead," and just starts leapfrogging ahead of him. And then now he starts to see the creepy object because I guess it's only if you're walking,
Right.
taking the second half.
I mean,
can
there
you
is a
see
chance
this.
that this guy was just really slow. Because again, once she starts leading, she's off like a shot. She's
And
like, "Come on, Slowpoke, it's my turn to lead," and
Yeah.
he's trailing behind immediately.
He's having a tough time right from the start, yeah. But then it's... And do we see the knife every now and then? I think we do. We see the bloody knife.
Yes, we
yeah.
see the knife a little bit here and there, but we certainly see
Mm-hmm.
the knife when he comes out and just totally stabs this dude.
Oh, yeah. And he says, and the dude goes, no, please, no. No other fight, no scream, no.
No.
And which makes you think that this killer must look insane because you don't even try to fight him. You don't even try to do anything.
Right.
But-
you're expecting some sort of like person who escaped from an asylum and maybe
Mm-hmm.
looks like they've been, spoiler, living in the woods for a very long time. But when we meet our killer, nope, just looks like a trucker who may have taken a nap like in a ditch for a day or two.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a bad wig on. I don't know what's happening with his hair.
Well,
But and then he's got the one. We'll get into his wardrobe here. He's got the rip on his shirt. That's not really a rip. It's never dirty either.
no,
he never gets that
it's
dirty.
just it got stuck
For
on a
someone who-
branch one day
yeah.
and ripped a little bit. And he's like, I gotta keep wearing this shirt, but I gotta make sure I take care of this area, or it's really just gonna rip itself, and my
Right.
shirt's going to be ripped in half, and
And
you know,
I only
2
have the
years later,
one.
he's totally fine still.
I didn't think to bring my lab coat into the woods.
What does he do for a living? What kind of scientist is he? When he showed up in a lab coat.
I don't know, but I wish we. I was like,
Like, just the fact that they were like, I don't know, put him in a lab coat, I guess. We have to say that he was at work at some point.
listeners, not to skip ahead, but there's this killer. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll
This
get there.
killer
Like,
is
if you haven't
hilarious.
seen the movie and then we're talking about lab coats, you're like, where are they now? Hold on. Hold
When
on
he
tight.
when he kills that refrigerator repairman and he's just everywhere, like Jason Voorhees, every time this guy turns
my
around,
God.
he's standing there with a different weapon each time.
That was my favorite part. That was my favorite
It's-
part
it's
because it
amazing.
was the funniest. All right. Let's we're ahead of the game. Let's
We're
back
moving
it up.
a little
to,
too fast.
no, yeah, like our lead walker here.
Yeah.
Whose husband or partner or whatever he is, her male companion, has now been stabbed to death. He did make a noise, I think, as he was being stabbed, which alerted her to, oh, he's not behind me.
She looks around, doesn't stop. She is
No,
moving.
I think she hears him say, no, please, no. And she goes, did you say something?
Did you say? Were you begging for your life?
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
Say, come again? I'm too far ahead now. So you just figure it out. But yeah, she
Come again, Slowpoke. Meet me at the campsite if you're not dead. Also, where's this campsite that they're always looking for and
It's
nobody
the
ever
one-
seems to find?
and it's if that is the site by the cave. I mean, it's cute there by the water and everything, but it's such a big forest. Don't you think there'd be several camping sites?
Yes, they seem so frustrated that they have to camp by that little stream. And I'm like, this is kind of nice. Like, why isn't this the campsite? But they're like, oh, I don't know. I guess we're lost. And I like how the guys and the girls both get lost in the same area.
Oh yeah. Just to get right to the same. But so are they really lost? This guy gets killed.
Yeah.
When she runs to, did he get his? I think that's the killer's MO, right? He slices necks too. Like he stabbed him in the stomach, but I think he also sliced his neck.
I didn't really pay attention to what he did. When that blonde girl gets murdered, it is pretty brutal. Like, it is not this woman. We don't really see anything
Oh.
horrible. But the blonde girl that, you know, spoiler, ends up getting eaten. Like, when he's stabbing her in the back and she's trying to crawl away and everything, like, that was a pretty rough murder for this dumb little movie that had no budget behind it.
But it wasn't. There was no, and this is coming from me. There wasn't like enough of that. Like look at there was like even the blood was like a little bit of splatty blood.
I just found that murder, for whatever reason, to be
a little more
a
aggressive.
little more brutal and graphic than
Yeah.
this movie warranted, I'm gonna say. But you're right. No, there's no horrible, brutal, gross, gory violence. They didn't have the budget for that. Even when he's gonna skin that guy, he's like, time to get to skin, and I've been interrupted. Like, they don't even have the makeup budget for that.
No, we were waiting for it to see Charlie get skinned.
But this woman is murdered. She is eventually tracked down and
Yes.
killed by this mysterious killer. Ooh, we
By
don't
this
know who it
floating
is.
knife. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't, he kills in broad daylight. Who knows
Yeah.
what kind of crazy psychopath this guy is? Then it is a cut to, I don't know, a 5-minute traffic report that we get to listen to.
Oh yeah, we do get to hear about all the freeways and all the exits that are jammed out in LA in 1980s. Yeah.
It really, like, it is just shots of LA traffic with a traffic report running over it. Like, that is the way we're introduced to, I guess, the heroes of this movie. I'm not sure, but
don't
it
know if
takes
I'd call
so
them heroes.
long for anything to even get started. Like, I get it. Yeah, the cold open murder, that's cool. But then, like I said, we just listen to a droning traffic report.
Well, even
It's
the
crazy.
cold open murder, before the murder happens, we just walk in the forest.
It takes forever.
For
Yeah. Yep. It takes forever. Anytime someone is driving a car or walking in the forest, that's the majority of this movie.
Yeah, the killing was quick. Like by the time he got stabbed and then she got stabbed, that happened, and it was what it was. And then same here. Now we get a lot of different angles of the 405. Then finally we see these two dudes in a car,
Yeah.
and did you sense any sexual tension between the two of them? They are constantly arguing and bickering like an old married couple.
They really are. They are. I also love that we get no backstory to these characters, to their relationship. We're halfway through this movie before I went, wait, they're married to those women? I had no idea.
You don't know, but that's part of their discussion in the car. So they're in the car, and
Oh, is
Charlie.
it? Okay.
Yeah, Charlie who reminds me, is it Foreigner? Who reminds me of the lead singer in one of those 80s bands I can't place right now. But
Which one's Charlie? Is Charlie
the
mustache
dark-haired
or
one.
not mustache?
No, dark-haired one. Mustache.
Mustache
Steve.
looks like J.K. Simmons. If J.K. Simmons had hair and like a little mustache there, no?
Okay. I'm seeing it. I'm picturing it. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you know who J.K. Simmons is? He's the guy in Whiplash, the drumming movie, the guy who yells at that kid a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
He looks just like I was like, I even looked and I was like, did J.K. Simmons make this movie before he became somebody? I was like, no, the timing, like timeline doesn't even track to that. But yeah, you put a bad 70s permed wig on J.K. Simmons and slap a mustache on him. He looked just like this.
And this is this is his appearance. All right. Well, these two are in the car. They do give us their backstory.
Do they?
Charlie hates traffic. He's so aggravated by the traffic.
His character trait is I hate traffic.
I hate traffic.
Great. Okay.
Steve is like, well, you know what? Maybe we need to just get away from it all. Maybe we need to go camping and do something that gets us out of here. And then they make the suggestion to go without the ladies.
Right.
And Steve tells Charlie how him and his lady are not doing great. And we see that at the dinner that they're not doing great. But then, okay, we'll get there when they all leave to go camping.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. The relationships between these people make zero sense whatsoever.
But Steve says that he and his wife are having a hard time. They're thinking of getting a divorce.
Right. Yes.
So, and then I think they somehow decide to all have dinner, meet up for dinner at their house.
Yeah.
Right? Was there anything else that?
No. Oh my God, no. There's nothing else. Anytime you ask if there's something else in this movie, there's nothing else.
There's nothing.
They're either walking or driving. And yeah, they really do get into it. Like, it's a let's go camping. Great. Let's run it by the girls, whatever. So how does it, okay. So they're sitting outside, which has a lamp, like an indoor lamp over top of the picnic table. Cause it has like a Yogi Bear style check tablecloth on this table. And they're outside, they're discussing this. How does it come up where it's like a boys versus girls camping contest almost?
Yeah, it does become like we're girls and we can camp for ourselves. Well, because the guys say, when they bring it up, they go, well, it's not Winnebago camping.
Right,
It's like backpacking. And the girls are a bit offended. Don't forget, Steve and his wife have a little tension. So
right, yeah.
There's
During
that.
this dinner, he tries to pick her up, and she's like, get your goddamn hands off me, you maniac. And I was like, are these two together? Are they like friends? Like, this seems so uncomfortable.
She doesn't, they're having a little rift in their relationship. She gets, well, that's when they make the comment like, oh, what do you think is out there? Some scary, like, rapists or bears or
or rapist bears? Who knows what's out there?
Rapey bears, you know how they get. But yeah, somehow the girls get very fired up.
It's so weird. One of the guys even says to the girls, the only backpacking you ever did was in bed. And she goes, what does that mean? And I was like, good question, lady.
Yeah, same here. I was like, what does that mean?
I don't understand that insult. So they're talking about forest rapists and everything like that. And the girls are like, we're going to go ahead of you. Like, we're just going to go and we're going to do our camping. At one point, they say, we'll see you guys when you come next week.
Yeah, like, they're going to go a week ahead of them.
Are going a week ahead of time.
They're intense.
But also, as they're getting in the car, the couple that's having some serious marital issues, she's like, hey, you want to like come down tonight? Like, it'll really rekindle our relationship. I'm like, I thought you were leaving a week ahead of these guys.
It's very strange. Their goodbye is very strange. So at dinner, they decide that they're all going to go camping, but not together, girls versus boys. Then the next day, essentially, the girls are leaving for their part of the camping trip. And like you said, the couple that's separating is all, when can we see, how soon can you get there? Like, you're coming, right? And the couple that's not, she's like, Charlie, and again, I don't know her name. I know Sharon is Steve because they scream it. Although the kids, I think, call her Heather.
I think so. I think
Did you notice that?
Listen, here's what I want to call them. Okay, can we just call them Wool Vest and Rainbow Vest?
Oh,
because that is
I
what
do
they're
love because
wearing.
that's titular when you're going camping is to wear your vest.
There are
You're not
so many.
camping
This
without
movie's
it.
just vests and knives.
Vesty,
That's
very
all that's
vesty.
happening in this movie. But you're right. Like, it seems so weird. This seems like the plot. Like, a bunch of teenagers are going somewhere, and the girl and the guy are like, "Come on out tonight. It'll be great.
Yeah.
You'll be alone." But this is like a couple who's married and are having issues, and she just seems to need to get away. But immediately she's like, "You better get up here now, because this is really going to help our relationship."
Mind you, she was at the dinner. She was kicking him off of her when he
Yes.
was like, and now the other two.
Also, do they live in the same house with each other too? Like, do the four of them live in a house together? Because it just seems so funny how they're just in the same house. They're eating together. They're out in the driveway together. It seemed like they were just all hanging out constantly.
Charlie's girl is going to prove to herself basically that she can do it. That's what she tells him. And he gets it. How about when they say goodbye too? They all just hold hands for the longest time. Like the girls are in the car and the guys are outside the car, and then it's just this awkward like, all right, we're gonna go. And then the girls like literally they get on the exit and they're like, did we do the right thing? Are we doing the right
It looks like they turned out of that neighborhood and are like, I'm not sure if that was a great idea. Also, like you said, they're having different conversations from opposite sides of the windows of this car. And I'm like, you can hear each other, right? Like, there's no way you're keeping any of this secretive.
They're not listening. They're not eavesdropping. It's not their type.
And it's answered, our murderer, we never find out what his job is. Do these people have jobs where they can just pick up and be like, I don't know, girls, you go camping for a week, we'll meet you, we'll camp for another week. You got 2 weeks off of work, right?
That's what
totally
we're
fine.
taking. That's what we're doing. We got nothing better to do.
But the guys also are not waiting at all. These women are barely out of the driveway. And the guy's like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to get my tiny pickup truck and I'll be right back and I'll pick you up. It'll be the awesomest thing ever.
Yeah, no hesitation. The one guy was already like, well, my wife gave me the okay to go. But as soon as he looked at his friend, he's like, yeah, we're going, right? Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
And the girl, Sharon, in the car tells Charlie's wife, don't worry, the guys are right behind us. When she says, is this the right thing? She's like, don't worry. I already told him to come up tonight.
They probably have already left.
Yeah.
They
So
might,
again,
when they show up at the campground or wherever they're supposed to park, the girls are like, where are they? I'm like, how did you think they got ahead of you?
well, they had a little snafu with their car, which was...
Oh, that whole thing. I love the fact that this movie, like you said about the park ranger, it almost just wants to be like, let's put out these red herrings. Like, maybe the mechanic is the murderer.
Oh, yeah, because he had no teeth.
The way this mechanic looks so proud of himself that he charged him a lot of money is really funny.
No, I was going to say the girls get into the forest, but the guys on their way, as we mentioned.
But I think you're glossing over a big part of this movie, which is just people driving. It's just, we switch from one car back to the truck. First of all, it's the smallest hatchback I've ever seen, and also the smallest pickup truck I've ever seen in a movie. But
They're
it's almost
European.
like, yeah, but it's almost like they were like, we rented these cars, we're going to use them, we're going to film them, like we're going to make sure that we get our money's worth here.
That's it. That was the plan.
This is what we see, and every now and then the camera will be pretty far away, and you'll just hear like 80-yard lines, like, damn it, the car's overheating. Okay.
He tells him, he goes, wait a minute, look at this. And he shows him the thermostat thingy on the car. Look at this. I better pull over. Right. And that's when they get, get their radiator.
There's all sorts of like fart rock playing in this movie. Like it's terrible music throughout this movie. And they have to pull off. The guys have to pull off to get the radiator fixed or whatever. Because the one guy in ADR again goes, it looks like you need a bit of water in this thing. They pull over, and while they're getting their stuff worked on, like you said, the girls arrive, and they're so surprised that nobody's there.
But then they say, we'll have the whole place to ourselves. It's the forest.
It's a gigantic forest. Also, where are you? Like, what is this? It's not a campground. It's just nothing. At one point later, the guys are like, it's a 6-hour hike back. And I'm like, 6 hours and you're not even to the campsite. There has to be an easier way to do this.
There's got to be there's got to be a easier pull-up site that we could get to. Yeah, but I guess it's amazing because it's along the waterfall.
I guess. And it really is just these ladies wander around the woods, which just wander around the woods with like 70s porno music playing, basically.
Well, and they got their backpacks on. They're helping each other, over the rocks and slipping and then getting tired and going, what do we do? I don't see anybody ever sip any water. Poor dehydrated bitches that they are.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, they get a little like, whose idea was this? Why are we out here?
Yeah, that's all they're saying. I'm like, this was your idea.
And did you not think ahead? Like, first we have to do the drive, then we'll have to do the hike, then we'll have to. They do look cute with their vests, though. I gotta say.
Yeah, no, definitely. But because it appears that the one woman, I guess it's the one who's married to the mustachioed guy.
Steve.
She's the one that seems to know where everything is.
Sharon, she knows where everything is.
Okay.
She's been there before.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah.
I cannot.
But it's easy to get lost. It's easy to get lost because it's a forest.
It's a forest. There seems to be no trail that they're hiking on.
No,
they're just climbing over rocks and like pushing.
They're
their ways
scaling
through
a mountain.
trees.
They're practically scaling a rock at one point, like in the Joshua Tree when we would scale those rocks and just climb them. Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
what these folks were
I
doing.
don't know. But during all this, we flash back to the guys, and again, they get in the car, and you hear, I can't believe it took him 4 hours to fix this, and it charged us hundreds of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And they hold on this toothless guy, grinning. Villain? Nope. No, you never see him again. It doesn't matter.
No. He's just somebody's cousin who wanted to have a role in the movie, and there you go. No, don't wear your teeth.
And now we're driving. We're driving because now they're in their truck driving. So we go through all this.
Now they have to get to the campsite, right? And they do. They park right next to the girls' little car, little hatchback. They say to each other, meanwhile, the girls are back and tired from walking, but realize that it's going to get dark soon, so they better figure it out. Now, it is a bright, sunny day.
Everything about this is great.
It's a beautiful, bright, sunny day, and you hear some thunder, and the girls are like, oh, man, is it going to rain? And what? You're in California,
There's
first
the
of all.
most sun I've ever seen. Like, there's...
It's blue skies, and it's so bright on them. They don't even bother to make it look dark. Yeah.
But we have a cut to B-roll of a cloudy sky. And that's when we hear thunder, and the girl's like, oh no. And I'm like, your shadows are clearly visible. It is bright. It's super sunny. It's almost like the guys then, because we cut back to the guys, and they're like, it's going to get dark pretty soon. And I'm like, it might be 1 in the afternoon.
It's high noon
maybe.
right now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then they say, and I think it might rain. But they get their backpacks together and on. All right, well, it doesn't matter how late it's going to be. Have you ever been to the campsite in the dark? Nope, but we're going to figure it out and let's go. They don't start fighting yet, but they fight when they're on the trail, and it's pretty.
No.
This is when the ranger drives up.
Yes, this is when the park ranger drives up again at noon and goes, "You boys going out this late into the woods?"
Yeah.
No, it's noon, but he reminds them that a lot of people park here and they never come out. So I'll check on you guys tomorrow.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, it's quite the thing that happens here. And they're like, well, what happens to them? Well, I don't know.
They just shrugs his shoulders and walks away, basically.
Yeah. He's like, we don't investigate it. I don't know what happens.
I don't know what happens.
Gone.
One day, some guy and his kids went into these woods. I don't know. Never saw them again.
Never saw them again. I know. I don't go into the woods. No.
From there, the bodies would be piling up. I mean, if we ever found any bodies, they'd be piling up.
Yeah.
We have no idea.
Oh, that's what he says. Yeah, the bodies are never found. People go missing, and the bodies are never found.
Bodies never found.
So.
I'm constantly calling a tow truck to tow cars away because people never come to
the
pick them
cars
up,
are just,
whatever.
right.
It's a big mystery. You guys have a great time, though, okay? Have fun, and I'll come back and check on you tomorrow.
That's what he says. I'll come back and see how you're doing tomorrow. We'll see if you make it out alive. And then, again... Originally, I thought,
yes.
Killer Ranger, I see. Mm-hmm.
I could go for a Killer Ranger movie. That would be fantastic.
Well, yeah, in the movie called The Forest, where it's the Forest Ranger, that's the killer.
Right, people were just leaving litter, and he loses his mind and chops them up.
He can't handle it, yeah. And he knows it so well because he's the ranger of the forest. So he knows he's not just some crazy man that hacked up his wife and made his kids starve to death.
He's giving people maps, and later on when they're freaked out, they're like, this guy gave us a map. And they open it up and it just says psych on it, and then he kills them. It'd be fantastic.
Psych.
Oh, but now what's happening? We go to these girls, and they're all concerned. They find this nice little spot near a stream or a little river or something, and they go to set up the tent, and they like lay the tent out, and they dump out the pins and the posts or whatever, and they just give each other a little look, and then you hear like silly music like ba-dum-bum playing.
Yeah.
Is that a joke? Because it's in, it cuts
setting up
away.
a tent is man's work. We ladies don't know how to set up a tent. Oh, we really need those men.
Later, when we see the tent set up and it looks like the tiniest doghouse, when the guys find it, I'm like, oh yeah, they never did, but they tried. They tried to set that tent up.
It's just their mini little tent, and they did get a fire going. We see that.
They did get a fire going. Yeah, I think it is somewhat impressive that
They got a
do
little
that.
food they're snacking on. Aren't they sipping on some kind of coffee or soup or something?
Oh yeah, they're drinking coffee. They're using rocks as pillows, which I think is very uncomfortable. I was like, ladies, just put your hands by your head like this. It's so much
least
more
get
comfortable
a
than a
little-
rock. Jamie, the song starts to play now.
Oh, it's getting scary out
All right,
there.
so as these guys are
ahead.
walking around, there's a song, and I have some of the lyrics. There's nothing to fear, but people disappear on the dark side of the forest. Now, don't you get lost. You'll pay the cost on the dark side of the forest. It's amazing. I love it so much. I will have to find it and play it at the end of the episode because it's so great.
All right. I think you should. It literally, the song says what they're doing at one point. It's like, you're walking and it's about to rain because the forest is where you're at.
That's
Don't
a big
fight with
rock.
your
You have
friend.
to climb up it. Better give your friend a hand. Don't let you be caught. You might get eaten. That guy's kind of crazy, but he didn't kill his kids. We really do watch these guys cross a creek in real time. It's just them wandering
Unnecessary.
around.
It's unnecessary
Yeah,
is what it is.
and also, there are so many times in this movie that for whatever reason, the director decided to have long stretches of dialogue take place near the loudest creeks whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
I could not hear what they were saying most of the
They're
time.
fighting. A lot of the time they're fighting because, again, nobody's happy that it's a long walk. Well, didn't you all talk about this when you decided to go on this camping trip? Oh, yeah, it'll be great. We'll be in the middle of nowhere. Except it's going to take us 4-hour drive and a 6-hour walk.
Yeah.
No, they keep forgetting that. And now it is getting dark, and Steve maybe doesn't remember so much where everything is. And Charlie and him are just fighting about it. They're just quarreling
I
back
like
and
the
forth.
girls who are really like supportive and helpful of each other and like helping
Yes.
each other. Like I said, over rocks and stuff like that. Eventually they became frustrated, but you know, sat around, had some coffee, and are okay with it. These guys are just arguing with each other the whole time, and it ends with like, oh, now it's starting to rain. And I'm like, this has to be 7 hours after the girls were like, it looks like it might rain today.
Well, versus the girls. So the girls, before it starts to rain, they're sitting outside and they start to hear the lovely soundtrack of night noises that we get, which is like, goes from like an owl to like a cougar to like a pack of lions.
But
It
it's
sounds like at one
fighting
point.
cougars. It sounds like
Yeah.
cougars are fighting each other. Later on, you
Yeah.
clearly hear frogs and, like you said, owls and crickets. It is just a bargain bin, like, I guess, not, I was going to say DVD or CD. No, it's an 8-track that this guy found
right.
somewhere of just random zoo noises that he just
It sounds like
in.
we're in a zoo. It doesn't sound like we're in a forest. Yeah, it sounds
It
like
really is
oh,
like that
are we
cougar, like
nearby?
like attacking cougar noise. That wasn't a cougar
Yeah.
noise I just made. That was more
What
a
was it?
Daffy Duck noise or Donald
I
Duck
was
noise.
gonna say that was an aggressive duck noise, but I don't know if it was a cougar. It's like that. Well, that's
Yep.
not it either.
We're doing a great
What's
job.
that movie that we did? What's that movie that we did where she's becomes the?
Jamie,
cougar.
it's called Cat People, and it's a gem.
Thank you. I know you loved it so much.
Truly
We
an
both
amazing
actually
film.
enjoyed it.
but it's all just these noises. We never see any animals. Nobody in this movie ever runs into animals. But they are so loud, like right on top of these ladies, and they're very scared.
Yeah. Now the ladies are getting even more nervous than they were before.
But what's not as frightening as it should be...
It's the little kids?
Yeah, we get a POV shot of somebody watching these women, like, sit around and have coffee and be freaked out by animal noises. But now we see kids, like echoey children.
They have a weird echo to their voice. I wish if
they're talking about these women. Like these kids, like they look like they're either zombies or aliens at this point in the movie.
The whole movie they do, because they're both these little blonde kids. The little girl, poor thing, they didn't feed her before they did this film. She's so tiny in her little dress. The little boy, I feel like I've seen him.
They look like they're children in the attic.
Yeah, they do. Because they're like sickly blonde looking kids, yeah. And they're wearing like, she's got some kind of blue dress on and he's got overalls on. And yeah, they just appear with these echoey...
They're from a different time period too. That's the other thing. These look like Amish children.
And then they just appear to these ladies, right? Did the ladies see them?
They do see them and they're talking. Again, they look like corpses and they're echoing. And, oh wait, no. First, a woman appears to these girls and asks about her voice is also echoing. She looks very pale. She has blood running down the front of her face.
One sweet drip of blood running down her face.
Right down her forehead. And she's asking about her kids. And when they say, we haven't seen your kids, this woman disappears like a ghost. And the proper reaction is possibly to scream and run. But one of the women goes, who the hell was that?
Yeah.
Okay, you just saw an apparition. Like, you just witnessed a ghost. And they're just like, I don't know. Time for sleepies.
This is crazy. This is crazy forest time. We wish the boys were here.
Yep.
They would know what to do with that crazy lady. But the boys are lost.
No, the boys are totally lost. They're lost, possibly in the rain.
And now it's raining. Now it's raining. So they creep their way into a nearby cave hole.
Oh my God.
That they see.
Okay, so suddenly we're introduced to an older man in a trucker hat sitting on a rocking chair in a cave with like a Liberace style candelabra.
Oh yeah. No, well first they walk in and he's not in there yet. They walk in and they see his sweet setup with the Liberace blah blah blah. And the sweet rocking chair.
They're not there yet. This is just when we're first introduced to him.
Oh,
because his ghost children show up. And the kids are like, hey, Dad, we just saw some ladies. They're like hanging out by a fire. And he's like,
that's right.
You saw pretty ladies? Time to get my knife.
Yeah.
And that's it. So that was just
hunting.
The introduction to this guy.
Yeah.
And we realized that the ghost children are his. Who knows who this lady is? But now he's got to get his knife, and we see that it's the same knife from the beginning of this movie.
Well, and so let's make clear. We know now he is the killer.
Right.
And we don't know whether he's murdered his children or what else. But
no idea.
As you said, let's get into this just for 1 second. So he is the killer in this movie. The movie doesn't, like other horror movies that I've come to love, surprisingly, where you're not really quite sure who the killer is, who the murderer is. We know it's him. He's going to get his knife right now. They told him there's ladies. He's going to go kill them.
Yeah.
And like we said earlier, when he kills the first couple and there's barely a fight that they put up, it's like, oh, you think that you're going to meet this murderer that looks like a half human, that just looks like the forest has become him.
We're used to, at this point in our lives, not when this movie came up, but we're now used to Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees. I mean, maybe he'll wear a hockey mask. Maybe he'll just have on some sort of mask. Or maybe he'll look like a deranged lunatic.
Yeah, maybe he'll just look totally insane. Like he doesn't even have to be scarred face or anything.
No.
But he doesn't. This guy doesn't. He looks like a trucker, like a I don't know, like your hobo uncle or something. Like he doesn't look...
No, we talked about it earlier with just the patrons. He looks like he should be a character on Hee Haw. Like that's it. Like he's wearing overalls and a trucker hat.
He doesn't look dangerous or threatening. I mean, he is.
He doesn't look like he's been living in a cave for question mark amounts of years at this point.
No. But anyway, I just wanted to be clear that our killer, who clearly is our killer,
Right.
doesn't get scared, doesn't make me nervous to see him
Right.
at all.
We see these two ladies sleeping, and the kids wake them up by holding a bloody scalpel over the one girl's head, and it drips blood on her. So here's my question, not to spoil the ending of this movie. Did those kids kill themselves with a scalpel? Like, why do they have this?
Ooh.
I know.
I don't know. And more, was that a lab coat or was the dad a doctor of some kind?
Is he like a dentist? You think like he brought his dental kit or doctor kit into the woods?
I don't know. He doesn't.
Because none of this is explained. Like the kids literally at the end of this movie, spoiler, say, we committed suicide. You see us small children? It was a depressing life and we didn't want to live in the woods, so we killed ourselves. And at this point in the movie, they're holding a scalpel, letting blood drip on this woman's head. And I didn't know why they were doing that. Because it's not the knife. It's not the murder weapon. These are the kids who wake them up and are like, you better get out of here. Our dad Soup's crazy. And he's probably going to kill you.
I love how much they again, her name, for all that we hear, is Sharon in the movie.
Right.
But the kids call her Heather, allegedly. Or allegedly, and that's what I heard.
Why would the kids know her name, first of all? And so who's Heather to these kids? Some sort of guardian angel? Like, I need these kids to be reading a storybook during a flashback and be like, yeah, I'll bet Heather will save us someday.
Yeah,
I don't.
That's all?
It doesn't make any sense. But maybe Heather's the other woman because I don't know the other woman's name.
No, I don't know the other woman's. They never say. I didn't think they ever said it. Anyway.
But so these two women wake up. The one who has blood on her face, like gets the tiniest drop of blood, and she rubs it all around. And suddenly her face is almost completely red. It was the most blood ever. She is really freaked out. Woolvest, I'm going to call her, is really freaked out and takes off. And Rainbow Vest is like, I don't know what the big
I thought
deal
when
is.
she takes off at first, she jumped into the water. Because I was like, well, where'd she go? Because she does. She wakes up and she's like, we gotta get out of here. And then she just kind of exits and she's gone. And like you said, the other one is like, well, I don't see what the big deal is.
Yeah.
It's just a scary. Now,
Right.
mind you,
Rainbow
they were
Vest
just
is like,
visited by
we
this
saw
ghost woman.
We already saw a ghost. Two ghost children? Who cares? This is not a big deal at all. So
Right.
she just stays. And this guy, this murderer, shows up. And he's just like, hey, I don't hate you. I have nothing against you. I'm just really hungry.
And she doesn't offer him snack. Like, well, we bought some oatmeal and some trail mix if you'd like.
That would be an adorable end of this movie. He's like, really? That would be great. And they just sit around the fire and eat some beef jerky or something.
He's like, I've just been hungry and no one ever offers me food, so I have to eat them.
I got my damn ghost kids walking around bothering me all day long. My wife is crazy. I don't even want to run into her ghost. But I've heard she's out here.
But it's here. I said allegedly, yeah.
He does brutally kill this blonde girl by stabbing her in the back a couple times as she's crawling away. Then he lifts up her head, cuts her throat. And just as he's about to take her away, he hears Woolvest. And so we get a tacked on chase for a while where Woolvest finally escapes by jumping into a waterfall.
Yeah, he watches her too for a while swim through the waterfall.
Did you watch him labor to pick up Rainbow Vest and put her over his shoulder?
Hikes her over his shoulder.
It takes so long. You could tell that I'm sure they rehearsed this, but this guy was still like, this is so difficult.
Yeah, you mean, do I lift from the knees? How am I supposed to do this without hurting my back?
Right.
Guys. Not that she's a big woman, because she's not, but I'm not a strong man.
No, not at all.
But I'm a killer.
Yeah. No, and he
I'm a
returns
threatening killer.
to his cave to, we find out, just eat her. He really is just hungry. The way he goes through an entire human being in a single day, that's frightening. Like, I don't know how...
He traipses through that forest. He burns some calories. How many steps does he get the way he goes all over that forest?
He builds up an appetite, is what you're saying?
Yeah, you bet.
I like later when he's just walking to the forest and he just has like part of her in his hands. I'm like, did he just put meat in his pocket in the morning just to go for a walk? It's really gross. But I would assume it'd take you days, if not weeks, to eat an entire human being. This guy devours her, I think.
He makes quick work.
Disgusting.
And now, mind you, how far away? Well, we don't know when that first murder happened because he also had 2 large bodies that he killed recently.
Giant
Those other
human
2 from the
beings to
beginning
eat,
of the
right.
movie. He's just a hungry guy, and he doesn't want to eat the cougars or the owls or any of the forest animals. But so now, the girls we know are one is murdered, and the other one has quote gotten away, jumped into the water. Now the boys have stumbled into the cave.
Oh my
They see
God.
his sweet setup. Now he's gone, killing Charlie's wife and cooking her up. And what about when they check it out and it's a big open cave and they go, should we knock? What are you knocking on, buddy? And who's here to knock at? I don't know these 2.
Later on, when they're talking, sitting in this cave talking, being like, does that guy creep you the hell out? Because I am totally afraid of him. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
he's sitting right there.
And they're
He's
just
like
as
5
wishy-washy with their
He's
feelings.
5 feet from you in
Yeah.
this echoing cave, and you're talking about how he might be crazy.
He's in his crazy head. They are so wishy-washy. So when they first with the camping trip, do we go? Do we not go? Is it boys against girls, or are we going up with them anyway? Now when they meet this killer and they're like, something's creepy about him, but we'll stay. But I don't know, something's fishy. But you know what? He's inviting us to eat the meat that's on the thing, so let's eat it.
Well, they
No.
even stumble into the cave. The ghost children are there suddenly.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the
the
ghost
ghost
kids
children.
are like, hey, dudes, you might want to get out of here. Our dad's super crazy. And they're like, what? What are you talking about? And this guy comes in and they're like, hey, these kids were here earlier.
Yeah, are
And they
these
turn
your
around and,
kids?
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, they're gone. Oh,
Uh-huh.
no. And the old guy's like, yeah, they're my kids. Have a seat. Let's hang out for a while.
He gives them very one word, very quick answers at first. Like, yeah, I got kids.
Right.
Yeah, they're my kids. Yeah, it's my cave.
Listen, he hasn't interacted
cave.
with anybody for quite a while.
And he says that. He doesn't quite know how long it's been, but it's been a while.
Right.
How long has it been? I don't know. I've been here. I think it's been 2 weeks since he's been there.
At the most. He's just got bodies
Because he
piled up in
does
a back room
barely
of this
looks
cave.
dirty. He barely looks dirty. His hair has grown out a little bit from the first, when we see the flashback.
It looks like they put a little bit of flour in his hair. Just
Yeah,
just a
to
little
give it a little
bit.
salt and pepper effect.
Yep.
Now, where again, in other horror movies, we don't quite get to know the whole backstory of the killer and why he became a killer right away. It kind of you learn it as the movie goes on, or it's like the big shocker at the end, like, that's why he killed all those people. This guy is like, do you want me to tell you what I do? Well, I did what I did. I'll tell you.
I led a crazy life. You guys want to hear a story that is going to freak you the hell out? I'm about to tell you it. Oh, by the way, there's something cooking here. You want any? Oh, guy who is married to Wolvest and she's okay? Oh, no, you don't want anyone? Guy whose wife this is? He's like,
Would you
I'll
like
take
some? Want some
It's-
meaty pieces of your
It
wife all
sounds
cooked up?
delicious. I like
So-
how he eats this and the actor goes, oh, I just got to chill.
Yeah. What is that? Well, first bite he says it's not too bad. Second
no,
bite,
it's fine.
it's
Yes.
like comes over him like, I just got the chills.
Yes.
And it's never, yeah. I wanted the big reveal to be like, pretty ladies, whatever.
There's never a reveal of that. Like, I wanted him to come to the realization that he just ate part of his girlfriend. Like, to just see her rainbow vest laying in a corner of the cave.
Yeah,
or
some
something
kind
like that.
that, not just the chill. You wanted some sort of real affirmation that he knows that he's eaten his wife. Yeah.
He does again die in the end, so it is nice that he went to
nice
his
that he
grave
meets
not
her.
knowing that he ate
Oh.
her.
Yeah.
Let's go into this backstory.
Yeah.
He
Let's
decides
explore.
to just regale these two
Well,
weary
they asked.
travelers
They
with a
asked.
tale.
They're like, so how'd you find yourself in this cave?
Yeah. How'd you get this?
And
sweet
he's like,
dicks?
it's a long story. I haven't told in a long time. But I'm going to chomp on your wife's meat here and I'm going to tell it to you.
Yeah, you guys aren't sleepy? Oh, you need a bedtime story? Let me spin you
Let
a
me
yarn.
just tell you a little bit about my life as a professional lab coat wearer and what I came home to one day. He seems to live. He should have been a forest ranger because they don't live in a little California suburban neighborhood. It looks like they live out in the.
They live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You can bury bodies on this property
Easily.
no problem
Yeah.
whatsoever. Commit murders with lots of yelling, lots of screaming, lots of chaos. Nobody seems to care. Nobody's close enough
Nobody's
to hear
nearby.
this.
No.
Right. But very early on, because he asks these guys if they're married and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "Ugh, do your wives cheat on you the way mine did to me? No, we don't think so." Well, listen up, guys. This is what could happen. So I like how he starts the story and he's like, there were always delivery boys at the house
yeah.
and people coming in to fix things. And of course, I was thinking of the Money Pit. I'm like, maybe Joe Mantegna or whoever was onto something when he said that women call plumbers to have their pipes fixed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he does decide one day, he's like, I had this great idea, which is to come home earlier in the day than usual. Not to get out of my work clothes, by the way.
No.
I work at an animal lab. I'm an animal testing facility, possibly.
Okay.
Who knows?
Take that. Yeah.
But he shows up early to find his wife in bed with just somebody.
In the throes of passion. And she's so casual about it. He's kind of like the guy that she's sleeping with. It's kind of like, oh, I think they hear the car door. And the guy's like, what's this? And she goes, oh, hi. So this is Charles. This is whatever, David. David, this is my impotent husband.
It really is like a, hey, what are you doing home so early? Nothing to see here. Move along, man. And he hears these muffled cries of like, Daddy, and she locked her kids in their bedroom closet.
Not in the children's bedroom closet, mind you. In the bedroom closet of the room that she's making love in.
They're right there.
Yeah.
And he opens the door and she like rolls her eyes like, oh, yeah, you care about those kids.
Or just like anybody, like, they don't really look like either of them. But anyway.
No, these kids have stepped off Little House on the Prairie and are into this 80s movie.
She says when she introduces her lover, she says he's here to repair the fridge. That's right. And I love it. Later on, when he does get up and like he's like, all right, I better go repair that fridge. He is repairing the fridge.
He's there to repair the fridge. I was amazed by that. I was oh, he's actually there to repair the fridge. Wow.
He excuses himself to go do the job he came to do. The dad tells the kids, go play outside for a minute while I talk to your mother. And she goes into this crazy like, well, what do you expect? I mean, you don't have sex with me, you can't have sex. And then what is the thing she keeps saying about passion?
I don't know. Also, this woman really caked on this eyeshadow for this role, too. The eyeshadow and lipstick combination, it's a little bit aggressive.
It is a lot aggressive. It's a lot, yeah.
And we see him, like, it's kind of funny because he, like, takes her head in his hands. And for a moment, she's like, oh, maybe my husband wants to get in on this. Maybe I should call that repairman back in here. We can
do a little menage a trois.
Yeah. And he starts to choke her, sort of seems to realize, no, I don't like this, and bashes her head into the corner
one big bash into the nightstand.
Yep.
And there's that drip of blood that we saw when she was ghost wife.
Exactly. And now at this point, we cut back to the campers. They're hanging on his every word. They are like, what is happening? This is the greatest thing we've ever heard. So now he goes out, confronts the repairman who is repairing the refrigerator, which appears to be in their garage, I guess. Maybe
it's their second fridge, I'm guessing, or maybe they just live that. Yeah, the kids are MIA right now. But he goes to kind of take his anger out on the repairman, who, this is a lovely fight. The repairman gives I'm so disappointed that we don't see the repairman later and he doesn't reunite with the wife again, like that they could finally be together and end
that would be adorable. This repairman, he just wanders out from behind a rock and he's like I
finally found you. Yeah. No. So, but the repairman puts up quite a fight. It's one of my favorite parts of this movie.
It's the best part of this movie. Yes.
Yeah. So he comes at him first with bare hands, right? Doesn't he try to fight him
Right.
first, just like they're like fist fight, like bear fighting almost? Then he's got
It's like a couple of drunk dads like having a fight
Yeah,
in your backyard. Like
yeah.
it's just these two guys lumbering around. There's no real fight choreography to this at
none
all.
at all, none at all. But then the creepy guy, the daddy, gets some weapons. At one point, he's got it, and again, we see just the weapon in like
Oh,
a
yeah.
shot of the weapon. So it's the
Yeah.
pitchfork, and then it's an actual like saw, like a what kind of saw would you call
Like
it? that he
a
holds
big
up?
saw that guys would cut down trees
Yeah,
with.
I guess
like,
a tree
one
cutting
guy on
saw.
one end of
Yes.
the saw and the other guy on the other end.
He's got one of those. He's got a
Can we just say though, the best part about this movie, if I had to sell this movie to someone and sort of trick them into watching it, I'd say this is the only movie where I've seen a pitchfork versus a bike fight.
oh yeah,
Because the guy
yeah.
holds up a bike, just a regular bicycle, in defense, and they have a pitchfork bicycle fight.
Versus
I've
bike?
never seen that in a movie
No,
before in my
no.
life.
But like you said, the repairman puts up quite the fight. You
Yeah.
almost think he's gonna get away, but then
But then he is murdered on a giant rusty saw blade. This
Yeah.
saw blade must be at least 2 feet in diameter. I don't know where it is. It appears to be in the middle of the woods.
it's just in their backyard somewhere, in their trashy backyard.
Yes. And it's not as cool. Like, pitchfork death would have been better.
Oh, totally.
Sawing him in half with the tree saw would have been better. But he just sort of pushes him down on this. He's dead. The kids are watching this
Kids are
whole
just
thing.
watching. They just got their little hands folded, and they're just kind of stoically watching. And then he just leads. He takes the kids and he leads them out into the forest.
It's not even that, because the kids watch him murder this guy, and then it's a cut to him burying.
Oh, that's
possibly
right. He
both
buries
of
them. Yeah, that's right. He does.
And then he like tamps down the ground with a shovel, and he looks at his kids and he's like, "All right, let's go." And they
Yeah.
just kind of walk,
and they all
off
just go
together.
And they say late. Well, besides that, we see them come out of the closet while their mom is making,
Right.
in the throes of passion.
Yeah.
They say later that their mommy was very mean to them and used to abuse them. So I guess they're just like, "Good riddance, mom," and they go off with dad into the woods. Now
Yeah.
this is when Charlie's like, "Well, what did you do?" No, he never says exactly what he does. He says. The second part of the story, when he kills the wife, and he tells the guys, "Oh, I did nothing. I did nothing."
That's what I meant. When they're really into his story, he's like, yeah, and then nothing happened. But then the guys are kind of like disappointed. They're like, guess we'll go to bed now. And we see him, he leans back in his little cave rocking chair, and it's
he
like
finishes the
twinkle,
memory.
twinkle.
Yeah.
Like lace style, gauzy fade into his mind.
Right. And then we see the murderous part of the
Right.
flashback. But the
Yeah.
boys, in the meantime, again, wishy-washy. The one is like, "I don't know, I got a bad feeling about this guy. Let's sleep in shifts." And the other one's like, "I'm just so sleepy."
This is
Like-
the craziest thing, because they're having this conversation, and while I'm watching this, because we only see the two of them, I'm
Right.
like, does this guy have a separate bedroom in his cave that he's in right now? But no, we pull
They're
back
all
and
in the
he's
same-
sitting 2 to 3 feet from them. in
Yeah, but
his
he's
rocking
dreaming about
chair.
murder. He's dreaming about murder. He doesn't know that they're suspecting maybe that he's a shady guy.
So you're saying there's parts of this interaction that we didn't see in the movie where they're like waving their hands in front of his face, being like, "I don't know, he's out, man."
He's-
Like,
yeah,
he
he's
is-
not-
I
he's
don't know
not.
where he is
We
right
could
now.
just talk shit on him. He doesn't know.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's what he
So-
says to the kids when he walks them into the woods. "We must leave this horrible place
We must leave this horrible place and go to
and
my
go into a
amazing-
cave."
Go into my amazing cave fort. I've been building it. I have a rocking chair and a candelabra.
Come see.
Check it out. It's awesome. It's just
Oh.
a single room, but there's a little sleeping corner for you kids. It'll be
No
just fine.
food unless you want to eat.
Right. There's
humans.
no food. Do you hear all those animals? I'm really bad at catching animals. They're pretty fast. But fat bearded guys, I could easily
And
murder
I could
those
skin
guys.
them and slice them and rotisserie them up.
Yep.
Ay, ay, ay.
And this is when these guys, like you said, decide to sleep in shifts. and they both end up falling
They
asleep.
just passed
and
out.
This,
Again,
this
in
nice
the
old
cave of a
like, wakes
murderer,
them
of a
up.
in the cave of a possible murderer, they both are like just so tired. And P.S.
Well-
they haven't found their girlfriends. Oh no, they haven't gone to the campsite yet.
No.
They stopped because of the rain.
Would you say that they're like, oh, it's a cave of a potential murder or whatever?
Yeah.
Now they don't know this, but like you said, the one guy is really freaked out.
Mm-hmm.
J.K. Simmons is like, I need some shut eye. I need my beauty sleep.
Yeah,
I'm going
well,
to
he
bed
refused
right
the meat. He wasn't hungry, so he's like, I gotta sleep off this hunger, so we can
Yeah.
look for the girls in the morning. So they both fall asleep, and then like the daddy, I call him daddy in my notes.
You
The daddy
should.
guy
Why
wakes
not?
them up and is like, "Didn't you guys want to leave?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we did. We're gonna leave right now. Bye." And then they go, and
Yeah, and
now
they find
they're
the
right
remains-
outside the
Oh, go ahead.
campsite. They were
Sorry.
like right by the campsite. Because, right, isn't his cave
It's
like
right
you walk out of
there.
the cave and then
it's like they walk out of this cave and they're like, there's that pesky tent of ours.
Jeez.
Because
But
they really do come
how
upon
funny is
like
it?
the remains of the wives' camp,
Right.
and they're like, "Oh, let's just go look for them."
Well, no, first they look through the campsite. They're opening pots and pans and looking in the tent like the girls are there but just hiding.
Right?
They're like, where? And then they decide, all right, let's split up. This was a whole argument too. Let's split up and look for the girls. Splitting up's not a great idea. This guy's a possible murderer. We might have just slept in his cave, but he's still a little bit shady. Oh, well,
It's crazy. This movie is now just them looking for them.
Mm-hmm.
Woolvest wakes up after a night of sleeping in the rain, and she looks like a completely different person. Like she
yeah.
does not look the same. I know that sleeping in the rain will do that for you. I think she looks better. Like I like her hair now. I think it looks fantastic.
Better look. Yeah, I agree.
And these guys, like we said, they decide, okay, let's go split up. They split up. They look around. They get back together. They're talking near this river. I can't hear a word they're saying, but I kind of make out the fact that one guy's like, hey, maybe we should split up and keep looking again. And they do that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
Yeah,
I just
the
watched
search
this.
party. Just the search party. Well, because they're the one is like, well, we should go back and
Yes.
report it, right? I think. And
It's,
he's like,
it's a whole thing where he's like, but we already hiked 6 hours.
Yeah,
Here's
now
what
we
we'll
have
do.
to- well,
We'll
that's
split
true.
up again.
now
And if we
let's do
don't
one
find
more
them-
look, right?
Yes, then one of us will go back or whatever. Like, it really is just them wandering around the woods. But also, Woolvest is running around, and she runs into the ghost kids again.
Yeah, the
And-
ghost
and
kids
they're
love
like-
her.
Yeah, and they're like, our dad's looking for you. He's just walking around. And they're giving her, like, hiding spot suggestions.
Yeah,
which I
yeah,
think is
they're
kinda
helping her
fun.
out. It's adorable, very sweet.
This is when we see this old guy. He shows up, and he's, like, sitting. She's hiding under a rock. And I think he's, like, sitting on top of that rock, just still eating
Gnawing
parts
at
of
that
her
woman's
friend.
flesh. Yep, just eating up her poor friend. This is when she falls down too, doesn't she?
She's
run
constantly
from
falling
him.
down.
No, this is when she runs from him. He does kind of see her, and she
Oh,
runs
yeah.
and falls and stumbles to get away from them. And now again, Charlie and Steve back and forth. They didn't find them anywhere, but maybe they are. Maybe they're just out walking. Maybe some crazy murderer. Maybe the park ranger's not right.
Yeah.
Maybe this guy and his crazy story isn't a killer. Maybe the girls are just out for a long walk and we haven't ran into them because it's a big forest. Maybe we
Yeah.
haven't seen them. But no, they decide after some time, they decide to separate and that Charlie will stay behind and Steve will go. And their goodbye is so, all right, bro, well, best of luck to you. Yeah, hope to see you soon. Like, it's like they knew that one of
Yeah.
them, that they were going to.
It really is, and it's supposed to be this emotional moment, and I'm like, I don't feel anything.
Yeah,
here.
no, me
I
neither.
feel nothing
I'm
between
like, can
you
we
people.
just figure this
I
out? Yeah.
Don't know you
When
guys.
is Charlie going to realize he just ate his wife? That's what I want to know. When is he
Yeah,
going to
I
realize
was like,
this?
you just ate a human being.
Oh, this is when
and-
he puts the bandana on his head, though.
Oh my
Changes
God, he
his whole
turns
look.
into Rambo for the rest
Yeah.
of this movie. Because thankfully, I did not write, not thankfully, but I didn't write the characters' names down at all.
Oh.
Like, I just called the one guy Mustache, and then I knew Rainbow Vest and Wool Vest. I had
Okay.
no name for this guy, and finally I was like, Bandana. Great. I
There
got
we
it.
go.
This is
Yeah.
fantastic.
I think
So-
it's the, yeah.
So Mustachio dude he decides to go off on his own and immediately breaks his ankle.
Oh, yeah. Like breaks. No, here's how he breaks his ankle. Mind you, we have watched them tramps all along this forest looking for the women, getting to the spot. There is a rock with a huge log on it, and he's hustling to get to the entrance. He jumps on this log, and first I thought he just twists his ankle, but its bone is sticking out. Like he breaks the ankle.
No, because he reacts as if you're in gym class and you're like, "Ooh, I twisted my ankle a little bit. I guess I better limp."
No,
That's
then
how
he
reacts.
cries. Then he cries about it.
When he's crying, when this big dumb crybaby is crying later,
in a lot of
I was
pain.
like, "Oh, that's really bad." Because he pulls up his pant leg later. We just see bones sticking
Yeah,
out.
it's a big break. And yeah, it hurts so bad. He continues on because he has to. He doesn't have a choice. But he stops at one point and just weeps
Yes.
about, I guess he's in that much pain, or because he's got a long way to go. It's a long, walk, or because he's alone, or because he's scared. I don't know. So many reasons.
And also,
he could be
while
crying.
this is happening, we see the ghost kids appear again, and they're looking at him with his broken ankle, and they're like, "This is so sad. What a shame."
Yeah, they're doing
That's
a little
it.
commentary. Yeah.
Woolvest, these ghost children appear to her, and they have a lengthy conversation. This is where we find out the ghost kids are like, being alive was so sad.
Oh, yeah.
We just had to kill ourselves and everything. And this woman's deadpan delivery of, "Your life must have been so sad," really was just,
Her whole-
there's no emotion behind this whatsoever. I found her performance absolutely hilarious at this point.
Yeah, yeah, because they're creepy too. They're confessing about, well, yeah, we lived with Dad and it was in the cave, and he was so sad, so we were so sad. And you're right. She's like, you all must have been so sad. And then they're like, yeah, so we killed ourselves. She's like, you killed yourself?
Wait, what happened? You're just kids. How did you? Maybe I don't want to know.
Yeah.
It's
They don't-
This is where. Did you notice at one point the dead daughter somehow turns British at one point? She's like, "It's something important."
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what are you doing, lady? Like, what is this movie at this point? And I'm not saying I was on board or I was enjoying myself, but my God, does this movie drag? It drags from after his flashback until the end of this. It takes forever and nothing happens. It's characters walking around because at one point the kids are like, "One of those people is injured. We'll lead you to him." No, that doesn't happen. They start talking about the other guy. Then later on, they're like, it's the next day. And they're like, "Let's lead you to the guy who hurt his ankle." I'm like, what are we doing in this movie? It takes forever, and I'm angry at this point.
You're mad now. You're over it. You're like,
Yes.
all right. And there's no more. Well, there's one more murder to happen.
Yes, right.
There. Yeah. So the kids do confess to Vesty or Woolvest. Sharon is her
Woolvest,
name.
yes.
What their fate was, as we've
Right.
heard the backstory from their dad, what his fate was, and now, they keep sort of misleading her. We'll take their she didn't know that the guys were in the forest though.
No, right.
So the
exactly.
kids alert her to that there's two guys, but now they're separated.
Yep.
And Daddy's gone hunting again, and she's like, "Well, take me to them," and she sees, Charlie's manning his fire, or Bandana is manning
Yeah.
his fire.
It's
and-
nightfall. It's totally
never
dark.
really night. It's kind of a bright night always in this forest.
I really thought, for as badly as this movie is shot and acted and directed, I thought the day for night stuff was actually pretty good. 'Cause
Oh, I
I've seen
thought
really.
it was terrible.
Oh, all right. I've seen pretty bad day for night. I thought it was actually.
I
okay.
thought, even earlier when they're walking at night, in the very beginning of the movie, when they're walking and it's getting dark, it's
Right.
not really that dark.
No.
So-
I always thought the campsite scenes actually seemed dark in the background, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Whatever. He's hanging out. Bandana's just sitting at the girls' campsite, and he's hanging out and sharpening a knife. The dead wife then appears to him and asks him about the kids. And he's like, I haven't seen your kids and everything. He just starts hearing coyotes and owls and frogs after she disappears. And then this caveman shows up again. And it's the same thing where he's like, I'm so hungry. I'm like, you've eaten 3 people since I've watched this movie. How hungry could you
You've
possibly
got a
be?
crazy metabolism, dude.
Yes.
I can't even explain. Yeah.
I do like how he asks him, he goes, what's with you, man? Are you crazy? And the guy goes, of course I am.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, you understand
Didn't
that
you
about
hear my
yourself.
story about my wife that was cheating on me? Of course I'm crazy.
I'm insane.
Yeah.
I gave you so much detail about the lab coat I was wearing. Why would I focus on that in
How
the
could
story?
Right.
So there's a long fight and a long chase, and they end up in the water and everything. And
Oh yeah, fighting in the water is never good.
yeah, I was a little unsure as to what was happening. There's a lot of fighting in the water, but like you said, it's kind of muddy and it's kind of dark, but it's also day, but they want you to think it's night.
Yeah.
And I like how we're unsure what happens, so they have to show us a bandana floating down the stream.
Like we know Charlie's done. Charlie's
We
done.
know that Bandana is totally dead.
I'm turning the page of my notes.
No, that's okay. The next day, because now it's morning, we don't see any of Woolvest's adventures at night. We don't see any adventures of the mustachioed man's, nighttime. But Woolvest is led back to the campsite by the kids. I like how the kids are like, hey, we know your one friend's hanging out by the camp. He's right around this corner. Oh, no. And she just sees him hanging, like, waiting to be skinned by this guy.
Yeah.
And she starts crying, and that's when this maniac hears her crying. The kids try and reason with him while he threatens Woolvest. Because he sneaks up and he has his knife on her throat, and the kids are like, Daddy, if you kill her, we'll never come and see you again.
Yeah. They
And
pretty
he lets
much
her go.
and they say, I think they even say something like we like her or something. Please don't. Yeah. They convince him not to kill her, and he doesn't. He listens to
Right.
the kids. She should be very thankful for those creepy
Yep.
dead kids. But then she runs away, gets away, and now she's on a mission to find Steve, who is still hobbling about because he's got his broken ankle.
Yeah. He's moved, I guess, through the night at least 20 feet. He's having a horrible time. He's falling over constantly. And now we see that he's being stalked by the killer. The killer's turned his attention from Woolvest onto this guy. And now in this movie, it all culminates. All the characters show up together. There's a big fight. I do like how this guy fights him with a big stick that he's been using to walk around with.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
actually
Yeah.
winning for a minute. I was like, how is this guy beating him? But the ghost kids are there. Woolvest is there. Ghost mom is there. The killer's there. Everybody's together. The way this wraps up, which I thought this movie might be going a different way, because what happens is Woolvest somehow gets a knife of her own. Don't know where that came from. It doesn't matter. As he's about to kill her husband, she runs at him and is screaming, and this old guy watches her, but it keeps flickering between her and his dead wife.
Her
finally,
face.
and he's finally stabbed to death. And I really thought it was going to be something where the dead wife murdered him and was like, kids, you're safe now, come with me. But that's not it. That's just what this guy thought when he saw this woman running with a knife.
Coming at him, right.
Yeah. And at the end of this movie, the ghost kids are like, hey, gotta go. It was fun. It's awesome.
Yeah, and they have a more heartfelt goodbye
Yes.
with Woolvest, as you call her, and Steve. Because they're like, yeah, we got to go. And she's like, but where will you? I almost thought at the end they were going to morph back to life and be like, now you guys can be our parents and really love us.
Right.
But they don't. They want to go on to, their ghosts are in between worlds, so they need to go on to their, angel children realm, wherever it is they need to go. The mom comes back.
thought that was the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, the mom shows up.
Yeah.
And I like how they're basically treating the mom like John Lithgow treated Harry and Harry and Anderson's, where they're like, "Get out of here!
Yeah.
Your kids don't want you anymore. Go away. We don't need you." And, this movie ends with this ghost mom turning around and just wandering off.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that is how this movie ends.
The forest.
What'd you think of The Forest?
If I didn't ever see the forest, my life would be okay.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
I didn't. I feel very bleh about the forest.
It
I
is-
wouldn't
it
say
is-
I hated it with a passion. It's
right.
not that kind of hate, but I totally didn't enjoy it.
No, I agree. I feel the
Yeah.
same way. There were times in this movie, the pitchfork bike fight where I was like, "This is great." Like the whole flashback thing. I was like, "I'm down with this."
Yeah,
This
this
is so much
story. Yeah,
fun.
this backstory is something
Yeah.
else. Yeah.
I didn't hate it. Like
Mm.
I didn't hate it. It was a movie that sort of breezed by, but in the end, I was like, "This is not good. This is
No.
not interesting. It's not fun. It's not doing anything different."
No.
So yeah, it's the biggest blah I could think
Yeah,
of. So
it's a ziblah. I agree.
that's it. The Forest, everybody. So hopefully you didn't.
Or
waste
Happy
your time
Arbor Day.
watching it.
Happy Arbor Day.
Happy Arbor Day, everyone! Go plant a tree in memory of those poor children who killed themselves with that
Yeah.
scalpel.
Suicide kids.
Because their dad was a doctor. I'm not even sure.
I don't know.
Oh, so do you have a recommendation?
My
then?
recommendation is a little saucy, if you ask me.
Oh, great! It's Lace the book.
Well,
The one passage
which
you
I'll
read.
read to you. Part of no. My recommendation after watching The Forest, where apparently if you don't make love with your wife, you could end up murdering her and living in a cave. My recommendation is to our listeners that have partners, make love to your partner. Otherwise,
Who knows?
your partner might end up cheating on you with the salesman and the repairman, or you might have to murder your partner and then live in a cave.
I
and
like
that-
how
nobody
it's
wants
for your
that.
own, you might want to have sex because if not, you could kill somebody.
Yeah,
That
this
is
could be
a
your
real
fate.
potential.
This could be your fate. That's what Forrest taught me. That's what
I-
really.
you know what?
Yeah.
I actually like that lesson. I think
Yeah.
it's something, or I'm hoping it's something that people can, learn from and take into their daily lives.
That's what I'm hoping they incorporate it. I don't often give advice in this way on this podcast. And I
Alright.
certainly don't mean to be so salacious with my
You're
advice.
just trying to help people. I don't see
Exactly.
what the problem
That's
is.
what
right.
it is. That's all it is. But you must have an actual recommendation of a movie. So I want to know what that would
I
be.
do. And I guess the theme is troubled relationships. I'm going to recommend a movie called 5 Miles to Midnight. It
Oh.
is from 1963.
Hey now.
I'm looking at my phone right now. It stars Sophia Loren
Oh, I
And-
love it.
Anthony Perkins.
Hey.
So if you
these
thought
two,
they weren't in a movie together,
They are.
totally were.
I bet.
You get a couple of hotties in this movie. Why would you
Hey,
not watch it?
come
But
on.
it's really interesting and it's fun. He is a horrible abusive spouse, or at least it's sort of alluded to.
Yeah. Who can abuse a
and-
Sophia Loren?
Yes, and they're she's about to leave him, but then what happens is he's supposed to be on a plane. He doesn't go. The plane crashes. He gets a ton of life insurance money, and he's like, "Listen, lady, we got this money. It's so cool. Everybody thinks I'm dead. We got this cash. No big deal." Things start to go crazy because she is Sophia Loren. So, if you think she's single, you're going to go for it. And she's like pursued by this kind of creepy, aggressive guy. And Anthony Perkins is really possessive. It's a really, really great movie. It's black and white, but if you want to see like a couple of hotties like hanging around through an entire movie, I can think of nothing better.
This is your film. Good call. Because there's not really hotties in this movie, let's be honest, in The Forest.
No, not at all. I mean,
No.
are you into mustaches? Are you into vests?
Yeah, if you like
this
that stash,
might be your thing.
then you'll.
honestly.
No, I like this recommendation. I like a Sophia Loren, and
Yeah.
I and Anthony Perkins. I mean, come on, let's check it out.
I will say to this movie's credit, and this is nothing against the survivors because this might just be my personal preference, let's say. I found it very gutsy of the movie to kill off the two most attractive people in this movie and leave the other two alive. And I'm not saying
right.
you have to agree, but I just...
No, I do agree.
Yeah, Charlie, who dies, seems more the traditional male lead rather than this permed, mustachioed, lanky dude. Well, folks, next episode was not supposed to be a listener-requested episode, but we're doing something this summer, which we'll talk about later, which is sort of a theme season, let's say. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, I took the two the Patreon-requested shows, and I bumped one up to May, and I bumped the other one back to September. So we are going to cover a listener-suggested episode, and it's Aaron who suggested, Jamie, I know we just watched Shelley Long, but don't we want to see Shelley Long again?
I always want to see Shelley Long. Yeah.
You know who else I want to see, who we haven't seen yet? The Fonz. I want to see Henry Winkler.
What did they do together?
We're going to watch a movie called Night Shift.
Ah.
That has to do with, I believe, I'm going to say the Fonz deciding to run a prostitution ring out of a morgue.
He's so wholesome. What?
Sure, yes. It is a comedy. I have seen still images. We'll see how much fun it actually is. But Aaron really wanted us to watch this. And
all right.
You know what? Give me more Shelley Long. I'm okay with it.
I'm taking it in. Let's do it. Let's embrace
it.
So
now, finally, we're back to our usual schedule of every other week.
Yes, because it was the lace that got us a little overextended, but we were happy to be a part of something like that, or I was.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we're back to every other week. You'll get to hear us chatter on about some maybe listener requested, maybe themed, like Arbor Day themed
right, yes.
film
Don't
pick.
You want more Arbor Day themes? Don't you want me to find more like murderous, woodsy? We could have done Little Shop of Horrors. I mean, he was a plant. He wasn't really a tree, but, close enough.
I would have enjoyed that.
We
really?
Didn't. More than this?
Yeah, yes.
Sure.
Yes. And you too, with the singing and everything. It sounds right up your alley.
I know. Oh my God, the amount of times I watched Little Shop of Horrors. Oh my God, I could sing all of that. I don't know, I could sing almost all the songs, but the dentistry song, I could sing the whole dentistry
You with your
song.
freakiness about the dentist can sing that dentist song. I would love that.
I think it had something to do with my freakiness.
Yeah, I feel like now I'm a whole, I think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, if you want to listen to me sing a song about shooting puppies with my BB gun, I'll sing that song. I'd poison guppies, and when I was done, I'd find a pussycat and bash it in its head. I know all the lyrics to that stupid song.
I see them noting that. Wow.
Anyway, everybody, we will talk to you again in 2 weeks when we do not talk about Little Shop of Horrors.
No.
When we talk about Night Shift. Until then, have a great 2 weeks.
See you then.
There's no
Please help me.
Oh, they slimed him. Did that dumb kid say, I don't know? You'd figure he'd know by now not to say that. Oh, how about that guy Barf that serves food at a restaurant and the kids throw up every time?
Clever. This is making you better by the minute.
Yeah, although their parents watched them watch Laugh-In, and it was pretty much the same thing.
True. I guess that's true.